back to our daily segment of Michelle Obama's terrible, terrible life. Boo effing who. She went on a podcast called Diary of a CEO. It's kind of rings a bell like a founder kind of situation. And once again, wants you to know how awful it is to be married.
Michelle Obama just walked into a storm, and at the helm are Megyn Kelly and Patrick Bet-David. This isn't a discussion. It's a sharp critique wrapped in a roast. From tales of First Lady glamour to media reinvention, they're flipping the narrative and leaving nothing unscathed. If you thought Michelle's public persona was untouchable, think again. Grab some popcorn, or maybe a shield, because this fiery analysis is shaking the ground so hard, even seasoned commentators might duck for cover. Let's dive in.
Slammed for whining about costs in the White House. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. This is her speaking with, is this the Diaries of a CEO, right? So Rob, if you can play this clip, this is her talking about how expensive it was to live.
Megyn Kelly didn't just join this dialogue. She arrived with purpose, ready to pierce through the polished portrayal of America's admired former First Lady. Forget soft filters and curated playlists. Megyn came equipped with a keen memory and no patience for idealized political imagery. In her focus, the shining emblem of Michelle Obama's legacy, a blend of sophistication and influence, now under sharp scrutiny.
Any natural reasons why marriage, infertility, trying to have kids makes things difficult? It's like, I try to tell couples, of course it's hard. Guess what happens when it all works out right? You know what you end up with? Babies. Little people with their own sense of everything. They mess you up. You love them dearly, but they're a hassle.
What? There's something wrong with this person. Like, she's seriously depressed. She has the most negative, dark outlook on life I've ever heard from a public.
Because when Megyn examines Michelle's meticulously designed image, she doesn't see an icon of relatability. She sees a polished performer in a tailored power suit who claims to dislike politics, while effortlessly juggling Netflix partnerships and keynote speeches. Megyn's skeptical gaze intensifies every time Michelle paints herself as an everywoman, preferring household chores to helming a media empire.
Expensive to live in the White House.
Yeah.
As many people don't know. I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every food, every bit of food that you eat. You know, you're not paying for housing and the staff in it, but everything, even travel. If you're not traveling with the president, if your kids are coming on a Bright Star, which is the First Lady's plane, we had to pay for their travel to be.
Megyn doesn't forget. Her sharp recollection stores moments like a safe, including the infamous comment about being proud of America for the first time. For many, that sentiment aged gracefully. For Megyn, it soured quicker than a summer salad, left out too long. Watching Michelle blend designer statements with activism while commanding hefty fees for motivational talks, Megyn remains unconvinced.
What are you thinking when you're giving this message? Like, what are you thinking in your mind? Because let's do data. Rob, can you type in Obama's net worth in 2007? What was Obama in 2007? 1.2 million, 1.3 million. Okay, so their net worth is, let's write this down. This is pre-White House. Their collective net worth was 1.3 million. Can you go to where their net worth was in 2016 when they're done being presidents? Okay, 2016. So their net worth, as expensive as it was, they went from being 1.3 million to 12.2 million. So that's 10xing your net worth in 8 years.
What stands out most for Megyn is the contradictory nature of Michelle's image. The former First Lady claims to be an unwilling celebrity burdened by fame while building an empire that outshines many industry icons. Michelle says she never sought the limelight, but her perfectly orchestrated appearances suggest otherwise. If fame were a foe, she's certainly not dodging its allure. And then there's the recurring narrative of victimhood. Megyn's incredulity grows as Michelle shares struggles, not because challenges aren't real, but because few come paired with luxury branding, bestseller royalties, and a global stage. The irony, to Megyn is in the balance between grievance and grandeur. Every heartfelt revelation seems to boost the brand. Every vulnerable moment polished into a pitch-perfect production. It's not authenticity, it's a strategy. And to Megyn, the Michelle Obama narrative feels more like a sleek marketing campaign than a candid story.
Dark outlook on life I've ever heard from a public figure, certainly one who's been given so much. Okay, her window into motherhood and having a child, the first thing she says, they mess you up. They mess you up. Maybe that's what happened to her. Maybe she was totally delightful before the two daughters came along. I don't know. She clearly is not enjoying motherhood and enjoying being in a marriage. Even less. It's not you if things get hard. It's all hard. It's all hard. This is so...
Meanwhile, Patrick Bet-David isn't even pretending to be impressed, as Megyn wields sarcasm like a scalpel. Patrick is methodically building a diagram of Michelle's calculated rise, questioning why others don't notice the machinery behind her success. To Patrick, Michelle isn't just a former first lady, she's a potential political powerhouse hiding in plain sight. He observes it all: podcast launches, speaking engagements, and documentary releases, all meticulously timed. Like a well-planned campaign, Michelle makes an appearance, creates buzz, moves hearts, and exits gracefully, leaving just enough intrigue to ignite viral hashtags. This isn't accidental. Amidst a soft launch of a political empire, all while posing as someone casually journaling about gardening. Patrick isn't buying the "I'm just like you" act either. He chuckles as she recounts humble beginnings from the backseat of a chauffeured SUV en route to an upscale retreat. Her Southside roots may be genuine, but her current lifestyle is more Monaco than middle class.
Worth today, 2025. What is the net worth
It's gotta
today?
be worth a couple $100 million. No?
It's two numbers. You see,
Here's
70 million to 250 million dollars. So 70 million to 250 million dollars. If you type in a couple other places, you'll see 100 million. You'll see 70 million. But you'll see a couple ranges. But let's just stick to the 70 million dollars. Pre-presidency, 1.7. So expensive being at the White House. It was so expensive that our net worth went from 1.3 million to 12.2 million 8 years later. What?
To Patrick, Michelle's most masterful act isn't her tenure as First Lady, it's convincing half the nation she's uninterested in power, while quietly redefining influence itself. While America marvels at her wardrobe and workout videos, Michelle is performing political Pilates, stretching her reach into culture, education, and entertainment. Meanwhile, the media obligingly nods along like dashboard bobbleheads. Then there's the 2024 speculation. Patrick, ever the strategist, lays it out like a heist movie. Michelle doesn't need to announce anything, she's already in every headline, trending on every list, and whispered about in every political discussion. By the time she enters the race, it'll feel like she never left. Because, in truth, she hasn't. She's been guiding the cultural narrative all along. Patrick watches this unfold like a masterclass in branding. Michelle tearing up on cue, mentoring teens, and sporting casual sneakers in perfectly staged interviews that proclaim, "I'm just like you." She's the rare figure who could read cereal box copy and spark a national debate on ethics.
Needs an intervention. She needs our help. Okay, and that's not all. She can't make fun of herself. This has been obvious for years. She's incapable of laughing at her own expense, which is an absolutely dreadful quality in a person. Like, I don't think I could hire a person who works for me.
And let's not overlook the messaging infrastructure. Patrick raises an eyebrow when Michelle appears in schools, children's programming, and empowerment-themed cartoons. This isn't just entertainment, it's ideological groundwork. She's planting seeds in young minds while claiming she's only there to inspire. It's the political equivalent of sneaking vegetables into dessert. Where Megyn sees hypocrisy, Patrick sees masterful strategy. They approach Michelle from different perspectives, one critiquing media portrayal, the other dissecting power plays, but they converge on the same conclusion. Michelle Obama isn't the wholesome role model her packaging promises. She's a mogul wrapped in a manifesto, and no one seems willing to read the fine print. Megyn scoffs at how Michelle is treated as though she personally invented goodwill and holiday cheer, while Patrick highlights the double standards, criticize her, and "you're a villain," praise her, and "you're invited to the Met Gala." The protective bubble around Michelle makes the Secret Service look underwhelming.
You're a very good communicator. Very. You were very good on stage. One of the best. You know how to rally. You actually do. Barack used to say, if I ever needed to win an election, I put Michelle on stage. I've heard that many times. Who are you inspiring with that message you're giving? Think about another younger African American girl that's listening to this. Do you think you inspired her to want to be a first lady? What do you think you did? Do you think that motivates another girl that's watching this saying, I want to grow up to be like Michelle Obama, my hero? Oh, let me hear to see what she has to say about being a first lady. I bet she says it was the greatest honor. Oh no, in the back of her mind, she wishes he wouldn't have won.
What infuriates both Megyn and Patrick is the apparent lack of accountability. Michelle positions herself beyond reproach, shielded by adoration and sentimentality. Every move is labeled as genius or courageous, every silence treated as sacrosanct. Meanwhile, criticism is framed as an attack on virtue itself. It's like critiquing a play and being accused of defaming the stage props. Megyn is done with the double standard. She believes if Michelle wants to engage in the arena of ideas, she must face more than applause and rehearsed vulnerability. Public influence demands scrutiny, not just adoration. Crying over memoir pages doesn't exempt you from political critique. Patrick, on the other hand, views the landscape like a chessboard. He sees Michelle capturing key pieces, queens, bishops, and pawns while appearing to host a bake sale. For him, her branding is as fortified as a tank made of motivational quotes. Together, Megyn and Patrick form a duet of dissent, one dismantling the mythos, the other unraveling the strategy. They tear through Michelle's polished image like it's wrapping paper, concealing a high-stakes gambit.
Of course, leads me to Michelle Obama. You're back, and she's given us a whole new realm of comments. Glenn, we saved them just for you because she's still...
I told your staff I only started watching this podcast religiously because of the times I've been on your show and you've talked about it by yourself or with me. So I'm very ready to talk Michelle Obama.
Oh, good. She's still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new spin of
Neither denies Michelle Obama's intelligence, grace, or influence. What Megyn and Patrick demand is what the media appears reluctant to provide: real scrutiny. Not because they wish her to fail, but because her unchecked influence spans so broadly, it's negligent not to question it. And just when it seems Megyn and Patrick are on separate planets, one navigating media narratives, the other charting strategic moves, they join forces, leveling critique at the Michelle Obama phenomenon. It's telling when two individuals with vastly different worldviews look at the same figure and agree, this is too polished to be real. Let's address the packaging. Michelle Obama's image isn't just curated, it's hermetically sealed and hand-delivered with a bow by Oprah herself. Megyn likens it to a branding crime scene. It's not just about perfection, it's about being so flawless, it feels artificial. A woman who transitions seamlessly from Harvard Law to late-night dance routines without controversy isn't relatable, it's retail marketing. A designer Barbie with a Netflix deal.
There's this story about Michelle Obama starting a podcast. And I kind of want to go through this, Michelle Obama's podcast. And her and her brother, they started a podcast. They look like twins. If you want to, I'm actually not being sarcastic.
Yeah, well, if she,
Rob, what is this, Rob?
This is the announcement of the podcast.
Okay, play the clip. Maybe this will help out a little bit with subscribership. Go on and play the clip.
Hey TikTok, it's Michelle Obama and I'm here with my big brother Craig.
Hey everybody.
We're here because we're excited to announce the launch of our new podcast called
Meanwhile, Patrick Bet-David sits off to the side, part political analyst, part conspiracy theorist, flipping through metaphorical slides and muttering, it's all part of the design. He doesn't just see branding, he sees a blue, calculated pipeline maneuvering through the political chessboard, where authenticity is just another strategic move. To him, Michelle's actions aren't improvised. They're executed with the precision of a corporate takeover. The more she insists she's uninterested in power, the more skeptical he becomes, especially with book tours and emotional documentaries that conveniently remind everyone how historic, misunderstood, and presidential she feels. Then comes the ironic harmony. Megyn and Patrick almost synchronize in critique, like a satirical duet. The media's protection of Michelle, they argue, isn't just admiration, it's reverence. Megyn's sharp side eye metaphorically cuts through the headlines as she claims the press isn't merely biased. They're an unofficial PR firm. Criticism is reframed as sexism, and questions are treated as existential threats. Megyn can't help but point out the irony of a press that champions accountability yet seems to abandon it when faced with Michelle's commanding presence.
From her most recent episode, which still on YouTube, she's got like 200,000 subscribers. It's really amazing that now she's been doing this for how many episodes? She's been literally on every podcast of the left wing promoting it. And that's still all she's managed to get. Here she is interviewing Dr. Sharon Malone, perhaps better known as former Attorney General Eric Holder's wife. And therein lies the problem, as these two ladies, married to two very famous men, are pissed that they are not the alpha in terms of popularity and recognition in their...
Patrick takes this critique and escalates it. He argues that Michelle isn't just protected because she's popular, she's shielded because she's strategically invaluable. She's a cultural and political multi-tool, and the media handles her like a prized asset. To Patrick, Michelle isn't simply a former First Lady, she's the Democratic Party's contingency plan, the break glass in case of emergency candidate. Her omnipresence in speculative political chatter feels too deliberate to be incidental. Then comes his closing argument, the hidden motive. This isn't just about being a role model or promoting healthy lunches, it's about subtly shaping cultural norms without overt scrutiny. Both Megyn and Patrick see Michelle's persona as a Trojan horse, positivity and progress on the surface, but with a calculated agenda within. She's omnipresent yet elusive, powerful yet seemingly reluctant, and to them, it's a masterstroke of strategic brilliance. Surprisingly, neither dislikes Michelle personally. Their issue lies with the lack of critical discourse. In their view, Michelle has achieved such public reverence that even raising a question invites backlash, branding the critic as bitter, uninformed, or even conservative.
Roughly 100 million followers. Imagine having 100 million followers and you sold your book and it was record breaking a few years ago when she sold her book. I don't know what the number was. How many copies did Michelle Obama's book sell? I don't know what the number is, but I heard it was record breaking. Okay, 17 million copies was sold worldwide in 2018. That's when they were really their reputation. 17 million copies. Everybody's like, oh my God, they made so much money. I don't know how much money was made. I think the number was like 36 million. How much did she get paid for it? For the books? I don't know. $65 million was paid.
Because she's supposed to be the star, Glenn. Michelle Obama. This dovetails perfectly with so many other comments she's made about how she is, look, what about me? What about me? What did those 8 years in the White House do to my soul? And why isn't anyone asking? They shouldn't have to be told to ask about.
This is the Michelle conundrum. She wields the power to influence elections, shape cultural narratives, and command Hollywood's stage while questioning why anyone might scrutinize her. Here's where Megyn and Patrick slam their critiques down. If Michelle wants influence, she's entitled to it, but she can't bask in its glow while dodging accountability. Building a global impact brand means fielding hard questions, not retreating into "I'm just telling my story" whenever the scrutiny intensifies. Inspiration is admirable, but when it shields someone from criticism, it's democracy that pays the price. And that's the crux of their critique. If Michelle truly doesn't want power, Why does every move suggest otherwise? Why do her appearances carry the weight of cultural moments? Why does her silence generate more intrigue than most speeches? The Netflix specials, the media profiles, the carefully curated vulnerability. Megyn calls it out with wit and precision. Patrick maps it out like a strategist preparing for a campaign. Together, they unravel the myth of Michelle Obama, arguing that her curated image is so immaculate it discourages any critique. They're not tearing her down. They're simply refusing to applaud illusions masquerading as reality. Michelle keeps inspiring, keeps smiling, and continues shaping the future with charisma and careful planning. But Megyn's skeptical eyebrow and Patrick's analytical charts ensured that we don't mistake polished branding for unvarnished truth.